Hey everybody, it's Andre from the Eaglesoft Field Guide. I'm here with a good friend. Hey Rick, how are you? Rick from the Practice Mechanic. How's everything there?
Oh, fantastic. How about you, Andre?
I'm doing great. And you know what? I love talking to you because you are my guru go-to guy when it comes to insurance. And because I know you know Eaglesoft so well, it's great to talk to somebody who knows both buckets, Eaglesoft and insurance. So glad to have you here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And we're going to talk about the outstanding claims and specifically outstanding claims report within Eaglesoft for the Eaglesoft Field Guiders. And hey, you know what? Tell me, you talk to a lot of offices. What do you see as people's understanding of this report? How they utilize this report? What do you see out there with this?
Well, I'll tell you about 25% of the dentists that I talk to every week don't even know this claim exists or this report exists, which, drives me crazy. I was talking to somebody yesterday and the guy said, I said, well, what's your outstanding claims? Where are they? Is it, 50,000, 100,000, 300,000? Where is it? And he's, well, how do I pull that report? And I said, it's your outstanding claims report. Where do I find that? Like, well, who works this? Well, my insurance coordinator, but she never came back from the shutdown in March, and nobody's really done anything with it then. That's why I'm calling you. I'm like, you're killing me here. You gotta, like, I'm amazed at these people that don't know this report exists. But the rest of them, I don't think are using it properly to follow up with things.
Okay.
And I know we'll talk about that. I just do up a spreadsheet and a call log and track what's been done. And, it's simple, but you got to work the report.
Yeah. So let's first tell everybody.
First know where it is.
Yeah, let's tell everybody where it is. So, I mean, whichever way you want to go. And for me, I always use a shortcut, which is clicking on my printer here and go into my reports. And I hit O on my keyboard, takes me to outstanding, and there's my outstanding claims report. And which one do you like best, the aging category or insurance company? Which one do you typically go to?
I do it by aging because I always want to start with the 90-day claims. I want to start with the older stuff because I'm going to start hitting timely filing. I'm going to start running into other issues, especially if you're somebody who hasn't worked this report since March. You're going to run into timely filing requirements that, you're going to call and they're going to say, well, we never got the claim and it's been 8 months and our timely filing is 6. So sorry for you. Now you don't get paid.
So let's dig into that for one sec. Timely filing. What's the norm now? I mean, it used to be 365 days. What's the norm now? And what are you seeing the pattern? And is there any group that everybody should be really aware of that now has changed? And, we're in dangerous territory if we've been waiting since March?
Well, most of them are still a year. There are some that are 180 days. A lot of the federal plans have gone down to 180 days because, now they're dealing with federal budgets and, the Department of Defense just released their annual budget for next year and they're cutting the TRICARE by like 60%, the TRICARE spending. So, they're trying to find ways to reduce that overhead.
Yep.
And one of those ways is let's shorten timely filing. Let's, for the VA, all the federal plans, TRICARE, VA, active duty, they're all cutting back to 6 months as part of their budget for 2021 because they need to save money. And, that's a big way. If 15 or 20% of the claims don't get received in time, you don't call on them and they know, listen, these insurance companies, they're a business. They're a way better business than your office is.
Yep. So if a doc's watching this video and he opens up a TRICARE claim, I'm going to just use that as an example, a TRICARE claim, and it's from March, is he dead in the water or should he pursue it?
If you're able to prove, and we actually were just dealing with this last week, we were able to prove, we actually got a letter from the clearinghouse saying this claim for this date of service with these attachments with this was submitted by us and not rejected by your electronic system on this date at this time. We were able to get that letter from the clearinghouse send it over to the insurance company, and then they went, oh, okay, sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
and got it paid.
And
know?
I think
But
that's the lesson, because we hear, and I'm sure, and I'm gonna talk for you, but I'm sure you're gonna say yes to this. We hear all the time, don't even bother because they're not going to pay it.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Don't even bother.
always
They don't pay for this.
bother.
Don't even bother, and
Right.
we just go, well, let's send it and see what happens, or let's fight it and see what happens. And you're right. That I'm glad you did that, because, I love sometimes to prove people wrong who always say it'll never work,
Right. Always. And that you have to, it's a business decision. I mean, listen, I run a business, you run a business, we all run a business. But, I'm not going to spend $30 worth of an employee's time chasing a $20 claim.
Sure.
That's not worth it.
Right.
But you do get to that point where, I've had one of my billing team here work on $100 claim for 10 hours, and I lost money on that. I lost huge on that. But it became, that's one of those times when the dentist called me and said, don't bother that one. That's never going to get paid. I've had 3 people try and get that paid, and it's never going to get paid.
Yeah.
And it just becomes let me prove you wrong. Let me show you these can get paid. Now leave us alone and let us do what we're supposed to do.
And it also becomes almost like case law, where once you create this precedent, and then you can start building on that and saying, it's almost like, Rick versus versus
Right.
Delta Dental event. Once we have that case law, then we can cite back to it and say, in Rick versus Delta Dental, we were able to prove, and we have to work
Right.
that. So let's look at this report. I'm going to process this. And guys, remember, this is my demo database. So it's going to look a little weird. It's going to look a little old, but let's just take a look at this. And Rick, imagine if you're walking into my practice and you were looking at this, and these are claims from 2019. These are some old claims
Right.
here. So if you were seeing these claims and insurance claim from 2016, et cetera, tell me what you're going to be looking for. What do you want to see on this report?
Well, I'll tell you, my target numbers are, I want 2% of your monthly production over 90. Okay. That's my target. 2% over 90. 3% 60 to 90, or 60 to 89, and then 5% in the 30 to 59 day bucket. Okay. That's what I want to see. That's my goal. A lot of offices have nothing over 75 days, nothing over 90 days at all. But that's not always realistic when you're in network and we're fighting and we're filing appeals. Because one thing I will say is, and I don't know if this ties in with the collection outstanding claims report, but Cigna, when I'm entering a payment for a client, if they submitted a crown, a build-up, and I don't know, a filling, whatever, and Cigna pays on the crown and they pay on the filling, but they ignore the build-up, or they say, oh, the build-up's inclusive. If you call them and say, here's the prep date, that's when the buildup was done, here's the seat date, that's when the crown was done, now you're going to get payment on that. So when I'm entering that payment, I uncheck the final payment box when I'm entering the payment, so I don't lose my aging. Because if you close the claim, people say, well, just close the claim and then reopen just the buildup. But now the aging's reopened, it starts again at 0.
Yep.
I don't want to do that, because technically that buildup was billed out way back 30 days ago. I don't want to do that.
Let me show people what we're talking about, because oops, I hit the wrong button. That's a huge thing. And I find that all the time in people reopening claims, and again, starting the clock ticking. So let's go to receiving insurance payments. And just so everybody knows, and it's going to be here, I'll open up a patient just so we can see. There is, he has no claims, but there is a checkbox right down there that says final payment. And perfect example. I mean, imagine it's an exam for Bite Wings Pro fee, and they didn't pay for the Bite Wings, and you're going to go back for it. Don't check that box, because that claim is not finalized.
Right.
That it's a huge issue. And again, yes, you could close the claim and open up a new claim, but again, you're starting the clock ticking, and now it's a current claim instead of a claim that's been outstanding. So that's huge.
Yeah, and I don't ever want to restart the clock ticking, especially now, people forget insurance companies have to pay you interest when they delay payment in the vast majority of states. And it may only be $1 or $2 or $3, but I love all my dollars the same.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'll
pizza party
take them
money.
all.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was so funny because we used to keep old crowns and things like that in a bucket in our office, like in a milk jar or a milk jug in our
Yep,
office, and that was pizza money. The guy would come in and get our scrap metal, and we'd have pizza for the week or a month or whatever it was. But you know
right,
what? That you're right. That all these little dollars add up, and they add up, and we need every dollar we can get. So that's a really important thing. That final payment checkbox. If you have not received final payment on a claim, don't check that box. So
right,
let's go back to our outstanding claims by aging category. And you typically are going to say, let's just look at our 90 days.
right. Let's look at our 90 days. We call every single 90 day, work it, find out what do we need. Did you not receive it? Why did you not pay it? Was the patient not eligible? Find out the reason.
Mhm.
And we have just a very simple spreadsheet that has, let me just drag it over here, has the date.
Mhm.
Ours has a client name, then the patient name. What's the status? Did insurance pay? Was the claim rejected? Was the claim not received? We have a drop down menu in the spreadsheet of 10 or 12 different choices. When am I going to follow up? Follow up on this date. The little calendar drop down in Excel, super simple. And then a note. Insurance paid $1,200, check number 19768675309, whatever. And that's what it is.
And you dump that information back into the account screen of your accounts of your clients who are using Eaglesoft.
Yeah. Exactly. It's put back in as an account note. It's put there. They get an email at the end of every day saying, copy and paste. Here's the 40 calls that were made for you today. Here's here's the status. And we might tell them the patient wasn't eligible, close the claim. Or, there could be a couple reasons, it's a non-covered service, close the claim. Or we're filing an appeal, we're doing this, we're gonna fight the rejection, they rejected it. Or they're saying you got paid on a bulk EOB and it never got entered, that one payment out of 37, watch the bulk payment video. That one payment out of the 37 in that stack of 15-page EOB got missed. So you got to continue to check on that stuff, because the other issue then becomes, if it truly is the patient portion, a lot of people when they're processing claims will check that don't send a statement to somebody with an outstanding insurance claim. If this claim is open, you close it today, now the patient has a balance that's 90 days past due and they haven't gotten a statement yet.
Yeah.
And this is why offices don't mail out statements as often as they should, every 2 weeks, I think, because they're afraid of the influx, the tsunami of phone calls saying, why am I getting a bill? Why am I getting this? Why am I getting? Because you didn't close the claim, so they didn't get a statement. Now all of a sudden they're getting a statement with a 90-day balance notice on it saying, what the heck?
Yeah, and I welcome those calls, because you know what? Patients who understand and are on top of their bills are the ones who are going to pay their bills. You can almost tell.
That's it.
Sometimes I've gone in offices and they're like, oh, we don't send statements that often. And I go, let's just send them today. And they're like, yeah, we're going to get 100 phone calls. And I go, yeah, but you might get 100 checks. So let's just do it. Let's just do it.
You're going to get money. The people who actually open their mail and look at their bills are the ones who actually pay them.
That's right.
So,
And the deadbeats who are going to be deadbeats.
Right, exactly. The deadbeats are going to be deadbeats, and you chase them down later, or, send the sheriff. That's by the way, that's my new guilty pleasure on YouTube.
Yeah.
Can't pay, we'll take it away. It's a British show.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, hey, my first job when I was 14 was doing collections for my dad's savings and loan. And we used the sheriff of Philadelphia we would actually have sheriff sales. Back in the 70s, we'd put somebody's TV on their front porch and have a sheriff sale until they got their money,
Oh,
that was my job at 14. Hey, but you know what? And to this day, I think about that as I, have to, or when I worked in an office and had to collect over the counter and went, you know what? I used to have to, sell somebody's TV on the front porch. Nobody's going to get away from my office without paying for their co-payment on a crown, So,
Right. I,
so would you tell a doc that, this is something that, I mean, obviously we're not going to tell a doctor that they need to be working this. I don't want any doctor to think from this conversation that we want you to take the gloves off and to get on the phone with an insurance company.
oh
But this
no.
is something they should be really aware of, and how to find it, what the data looks like. And I'm going to actually put your numbers on the screen as I go into post-production so that we can see those percentages that we want to see of number of claims outstanding in those aging categories. I'll put that on the screen for you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, no, they shouldn't be working it, but they should know. And again, that's why when we are working that, we're working that call log, working that outstanding claims report, everything's being entered into a call log.
Yeah.
Because then if, Dr. Falcon calls me and says, hey, what's going on with my outstanding claims? I noticed we're up 7% over last month. I can say, well, here's the phone calls, here's what's been done. Payments aren't getting entered, or, this is going. Last year, I had 3 offices that we uncovered embezzlement because checks for 2 specific insurance companies weren't being mailed to the office. They were being mailed to a different address.
Wow.
We would have never known if we weren't working the outstanding claims report, because the person who would have been in the office working it was the one getting the checks.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you got to stay on top of this. You don't have to, no dentist should be calling on these claims.
Yeah.
Ever. They should be doing a crown. They should be doing a build up. They should be learning how to place implants. They should be doing something else to grow their business. This money chasing, have somebody do it.
Yeah. And that's why, I love having third-party providers who can help on things like this. I mean, that's why I love what you do. It's like, you know what? This is where, I have doctors, like for me, I love building computers. I love that kind of stuff. But you know what? At a certain point, just get a Dell. At a certain point, you need a third party who can do it for you. There's more important things that you can do than building yourself or to work those claims yourself. I think about this like, doctors who are, you have a Fitbit, or you're looking at your watch and you're looking at your steps taken, those kind of things. These are the kind of reports that you're just going to look to find out, how many steps did I take today? What's my pulse ox, what's those kind of quick reports, what's my blood glucose level. What I tell offices and I tell doctors to do all the time is go up here to this claims button, hit that, and go to your outstanding claims. All right, and say, here are my open claims, and hit this days outstanding twice. 1, 2, there you go. Now I'm terrible because I got 5,000-day-old claims.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to
get paid on that. Use an Eaglesoft for a little while.
Yeah, just a little while. But hit that 2 times, and anything that you see, first of all, if you see it and it says 375, guess what? More than likely, Rick can't get the money for you.
Right. Right.
But if it says 260, get somebody on there right now.
It's time.
Get somebody on it, and again, if it's 180, get somebody on there right now, because it could be a federal claim that we need to work on. So this is a quick way to just take the pulse of the practice, hit that button twice, look at how many you have that are over. What would you say is a good number that claims really shouldn't be over that number? What age?
Really, anything over 90, you should absolutely know what's going on. And like I said, in a $150,000 a month practice, if you have 2 or 3 claims that are over 90, that's like the target number. That's where you want to be. And chances are they're going to be, well, it took 45 days for a Cigna to pay the crown. They rejected the buildup, but the buildup's still open. And that's what it's going to be, because it's reprocessing. And then they're going to say, oh, we never got the x-ray, or we never got this. And then we got to call them with the attachment ID number. And then they find it magically. So it's going to be very rare. Anything should be over 90. And if it is, you as the dentist should know what's going on with that, because that means there's a fight. And that means one of your employees is spending a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
And that truly is when you have to look at this like a business and say, okay, I've now paid Melinda 22 hours to work on this $800 claim. Is it worth it?
Sure.
You know,
Yeah, and there are going to be certain criteria where you can say, and I always look at the difference between an excuse and a reason. There are certain reasons why something's open. Rick gave you a perfect example of a buildup that we're resubmitting for. A secondary claim, maybe.
Right.
An ortho claim that we're keeping open because it's an ongoing payment, maybe. Okay, but those are reasons, and those are not excuses why somebody didn't get our money in. So those are the kind of things where when I'm looking down, there's a secondary column right there. See that S? That one I can forgive if it's, if it's 70 days, we know, okay, that's a good legitimate reason why it's at that point. So there are reasons why to be.
Not okay.
What's that?
I said 2,900 days is not okay.
No, that's not even if we had a DeLorean and we can go back in time, would that make any sense? So yeah, we really want to make sure that this, and like I said, this is a good way for you to just walk into your office, sit down, hit that claims button, go to your open claims and hit that days outstanding twice. And now you can look and see how efficient your billing department's being with insurance claims.
Right. Right. And that's what it's all about. And, again, excuse me, use a call log. I have call logs for outstanding claims. I have call logs for insurance verification. I have call logs for unscheduled treatment calls and past due recall calls. I'm a big believer in what's called the Hawthorne effect, which is, people will perform better when they know they're being watched.
Yep. And
I don't have time to micromanage every single employee here in my office, but I can very easily look at outstanding claims call log and know, okay, she made 400 phone calls yesterday. She made, that's a huge number, but she made 50, or, you can't control when you're calling patients with unscheduled treatment. You can't control how many of them answer the phone.
Sure.
You can control one thing: how many times you dial the phone. Yeah. Then you can look at numbers, and then you can get that. That's where we get into, kind of business management, where we're saying, okay, well, we're making 55 dials and only 3 people answered the phone. We had 52 left messages. Well, now we need to look at what times are we calling, and do we need to have somebody come in at 11 and stay till 7 to call after work? Other decisions. Or we talk to 25 people, but only one scheduled. She needs phone training, whatever it may be. But that's a whole different topic. But track them. Look at the call log. Keep track of what's being done. I don't want to hear, "Yep, I'm working it," or I'll tell you, as because I'm an old guy. I didn't have a computer until I was in like 11th grade. I learned how to use a computer and how to type at school for that. But I love the technology. It drives me crazy when people print out that outstanding claims report, and then there's 100 little I can't read them notes scratched on it, and I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing there? And then a month later, they'll print out another one because now everything's 30 days older. And what are you doing? Oh, well, I got to move all my notes from this one over to the new one I just printed out, so I know what to work. And no, you don't. There's such a huge waste of time. And in today's day and age, with increased appointment times, the front desk having so much more to do in most offices with COVID check-ins and temperature checks and screenings and fill out this form and 5 extra forms to fill out and doing all that, they don't have time to be inefficient.
Yeah.
But you don't have the money to let your outstanding claims go nuts. That's the bigger problem.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, insurance money, and this is kind of a general statement, but insurance money is so much easier to get than patient money. Copays are harder to get. There's interpersonal things. We have to look at them. Insurance is like getting money from your uncle who sends you, $5 in your birthday card every month. It's almost like if you ask, you get. If you ask properly, you get.
Right, exactly. People say that all the time. Oh, well, it's ridiculous. They want a perio chart for a crown. That's ridiculous. That's just saying please.
Yeah.
That doing the attachments and meeting their requirements and calling every week or 2 weeks to chase one of these outstanding claims is us just saying, can I please have some?
Yeah.
Please, sir, can I have some more?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And you're right. It's a heck of a lot easier. I'm never going to call an insurance company and the rep on the phone is going to say, well, we haven't paid this because, our electric bill was way more than we thought it was going to be. And, half of the customer service team needed new computers and, this, and I'm our CEO is only working part-time because his kids are doing school at home. And that's never going to happen. You're never going to hear that from them like you do from the patients.
Yeah. And if you did hear it, you wouldn't care anyway.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's only working part-time on his, $30 million private jet. That's terrible.
I don't know how anybody lives on that. I can't get it. I don't know how you budget on 30 million. How do you budget for the things that you need?
Some people can do it. There's people out there living without things like maids and butlers, and I can't even imagine.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I need one at least on my Lear and on my G4.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So
somebody just to sit beside me in the car and hand me Diet Coke.
There you go. So are you seeing things since March? We're talking March 20th, since COVID. Are you seeing things that people should pivot a little bit with the way that they're submitting claims, with the way that they're processing claims? I think you saw that I just recently did the bulk insurance payment
right.
video. Are there things that you see that offices should adopt? There's some like new practices people should be doing?
Probably the biggest change is the PPE.
Okay.
Everybody's submitting that D1999 code, trying to get that $7 or $10 or $8 from the insurance companies. But they're forgetting that if you're charging an insured patient, you have to also charge a cash patient.
Yeah, let's repeat that again. If you're, because I swear I see you post it and I always go, I'm going to type this, but I know Rick's already typing it.
Okay. Right.
If you charge your insurance patients, go ahead.
You have to also charge your cash patients. It's all or nothing. And, I think you and I have that competing meme or picture that we post that says all or nothing. And it's just, like you said, if I see the little 3 dots, I'm like, all right, he's got it. If you see the little 3 dots, somebody's typing a comment, it's probably me, because it's an all or nothing. You can't charge insured patients differently than you charge cash patients.
And the fee to Delta is not different than the fee to Cigna or anybody else.
Right, exactly. Listen, if you want to set it up so it's a covered service and the fee schedule allowance is $7 for Guardian and $10 for MetLife, by all means do that. It'll post to your ledger. But when you're sending out the claims, they all should be the same. It's $10 or $20 or $50. If you're not in New York or Maryland, who have both said, nope, it's illegal for offices to charge that.
Yeah, and that's a scary issue for a lot of offices who are fighting back and not submitting or hiding that number some way or another. So yeah,
right.
PP is a good discussion.
That's a whole discussion. That's been a big pivot point. We've actually started seeing a lot of offices just lately, and I'm not sure who the guru was who said, oh, let's charge out the DO 190 and the DO 191 in addition to an exam, because that's the screening of a patient and we're screening for COVID. I don't know who it was, but somebody out there in Facebook land must have posted, hey, I'm the best insurance guy in the country and this is what you should do to make more money. And now patients, their first visit of the year, have hit their 2 exam frequencies for the year and are now starting to come back and are complaining, well, why aren't I getting my free cleaning? Why aren't I getting this? Well, because, we double billed you back in May when we first opened for 2 exams.
Yeah.
The same visit. Don't do that, and
And the best advice I can give anybody who ever questions a billing process, something new that happens, is, you're going to get a lot of noise. And my thought is, if you ask any of what I would consider the experts, and that doesn't mean a Facebook expert, I mean somebody who's an expert in the field.
Right.
If you ever get a no or a from any of those people, don't do it. Just don't do it, because although it may work and although you might get paid for it, it may blow back on you at the most inopportune time, where you've got to write a check back to an insurance company. And it might be the time when you just had to put the down payment on the new building or something. It's going to be those inopportune time when they're going to say, we want our money back.
And listen, I said this back during the quarantine. Teresa.
Yeah.
Teresa Duncan.
Sure.
Her and I were having a conversation one day, and we were talking about all these dentists billing out the screening plus an exam plus this plus the PPE plus. And we're sitting there, and her and I were kind of laughing. We're on like Facebook Messenger or video, whatever it is, kind of laughing. We're like, they don't realize these insurance companies are going to start losing money later on this year. And the quickest way for them to get money back is to say, let's audit everything you've done so far this year, because then you'll owe us interest. And we'll probably get some penalties out of it. Your contract allows us to charge you a fine if you do this and that. And, ask Roy, he'll tell you, and that's the big thing. And I'll tell you, this is not an outstanding claims report thing, but the best advice I can give anybody is, like you said, don't listen to a Facebook expert. Listen to somebody who knows it and lives it. I left, a lot of people don't realize this. Back in August, I had a little health scare.
Yeah.
And I left all but 4 dental groups. Yeah. I'm out, I'm in mine, yours, ADOM, and one other. And that's it. And I'm out of the rest because I'm fighting with people, and I've got people saying, no, yes, you can do that. I'm like, no, you can't. And then, Teresa will be like, no, you can't do that. And Roy will say, no, you can't do that. Believe me, I was, I could tell you can't do that. Well, yes, you can, but he says you can. So I'm going to do it. I'm like,
yeah. This is, and I the example I always use, and whenever I talk about insurance, I have a screen up that shows a picture of a chessboard and a picture of a checkerboard. And yes, they're the same, but depending on the pieces, the rules change. And the person who created the rules to the game can beat you anytime if you don't know the rules. So, you have to know the game you're playing, and you have to know who you're playing against. So, this is one of those things where please take Rick's advice. He knows, we've got good friends who do this every day, and we have good friends who've seen the bad side of this. It's playing this game, you can really get burned. So, and I know we're way off topic, but outstanding claims means that there is some piece of the puzzle that didn't fit in, but that doesn't mean you make up a piece to make it work.
Right. Exactly.
You don't just make up something to make it work.
So many insurance companies now don't want to see, it used to be, listen, 15 years ago when I was sending claims every day for, the practice I was in every single day, it was, okay, well, we need a narrative. Let me go in Word, type something up real quick. I know Delta wants to see, a fracture on the mesial wall, or they want to see this. Let me type up the narrative real quick. I'll screenshot it, and that's the narrative. Yep. Now they're starting to move towards, we want to see a screenshot of the chart note. We want to see the doctor's chart note. So a doctor putting in crown number 7, 2 carps of lidocaine, 2%, did this shade A3, those days are over.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have the right notes, and that it does go back to the outstanding claims report, because a lot of them are outstanding because you don't have the information you need.
Yep.
And, you know, for the docs that are watching, make sure your notes say why you did what you did. Why are you doing the crowns? There's a fracture here. There's a missing cusp. There's a this here. There's, you know, recurrent decay.
Yep.
Make sure that's in the chart note, the clinical note, because that's going to affect how quickly you get paid.
Yep.
You know, and all it is, like I said, it's they're playing chess and we're playing checkers, and
Yep.
they're making the rules.
Shameless plug for my book on progress notes. First line of every single progress note, including hygiene notes, is necessity for care. Is why is that person here, and what do we see? Why? You know, if nothing else, copy and paste the IDC 10 codes, you know, so we just have, you know, those are just universal, easy ways to say, you know, recurrent decay, you know, those kind of things. It makes it so much easier than we can just copy, paste the notes. All right. You did it in school. So you know how to write notes, guys. Now we just have to get back to the bread and butter ways of doing things and making sure we've checked all the boxes. So makes all the sense in the world. So
exactly.
I really appreciate you doing this, man. What other words of wisdom can you give?
Work the system. You know, have a system, make somebody accountable for, and you know, this kind of goes across everything. You know, not just working this outstanding call log, but have one person who's accountable. You know, you have 3 people at the front desk. It can't be, all right, well, you call on a couple today, and, you know, I'll call on some this afternoon, and you do this. You can spread out the work, but have one person accountable. And that's for every system in your office, everything, ordering and supplies, and this, and making sure we don't run out of paper plates in the break room, and, you know, working the outstanding claims. Have one person responsible, one person who is in charge of each thing. They can divvy out assignments from there.
Okay.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's one person to go to.
Yep.
You know, just, I know if I have an Eaglesoft question, I'm messaging Andre, which fortunately doesn't happen much because it's been like 18 years. And I've kind of learned a little bit along the way, but
you know who to call if you need.
I know who to call if I do. Andre's my go-to. You got to have a go-to for Eaglesoft and a go-to for the claims and a go-to for the unscheduled treatment. You got to line up your go-tos, because right now, none of us can do this alone.
Yeah.
None of us.
Yeah. And I'll put a link down the bottom of the screen for everybody, so that, you know, everybody who's watching this video, more than likely you are a member of the Andre's Eaglesoft Field Guide, but I also want you guys to be in the dental billing, coding, and administrative group, which is Rick's group. And I'm going to put a link down the bottom of the screen. So we have that, and a link to Practice Mechanics, so you can get in touch with Rick. Have a good day, sir. I really appreciate you doing this. And we'll talk soon.
It's cold. Stay inside.
I will definitely do that.
All right.
Thanks, man.
You got it. Thank you.